I've always really resisted that label of being kind of being a Christian filmmaker. I thought that to be a Christian filmmaker meant that I would have to make biblical epics or the Mel Gibson movies. So in effect, I kept those two identities very separate because I wanted to make science fiction movies and I wanted to make comedies. Being a filmmaker, I want to tell stories that are true to the human existence, and that is actually incredibly congruent and vital to being a Christian. That telling stories that reach people, that affect an audience, that reflect the pain, the humor, the horror, and the beauty of life in sometimes subversive ways is what I strive to do. So anyway.
What draws me to being a theater artist is telling a story, and how do we tell a story well? It emerges for me in a conflict between who I am as an eternal being made in the image of God, a little lower than the angels, and a mortal being crashing and smashing throughout every day, physically, emotionally, spiritually. How does that conflict and that tension get expressed within the context of a story in which other people can come there as an audience and transform them, redefine them from being spectators to being participants? So how can I identify with that person? And so my heart, my mind, my soul go to that actor on stage and says, yes, I know what that is.
The question about sex and profanity and violence, and that was a big question for me when I became a Christian, because I was surrounded by a lot of that in art school. And I think a lot of it in art school is just adolescent shock, all that kind of thing. And it's encouraged quite a bit for some of the wrong reasons in the schools that I was in, and it was really uncomfortable for me as a new Christian. And God really was very gracious in bringing me to Gordon, while keeping me there, but giving me a support system so that I didn't have to be bombarded with it so much every day. The world that we live in is filled with so many things that we can't really avoid them. And avoiding them as Christian artists doesn't seem to be the answer. I also think, however, that each individual has to really be truthful about what is a trigger for them and a hard thing to expose themselves to. And I don't think that because you're an artist, you should just plow ahead with a thick skin if you're really sensitive in a certain area or vulnerable in a certain area.